Welcome to the Weather Gurus podcast, and this is a tropical outlook. Tropical outlook as well. We're going to be talking about possible tropical Atlantic development in the Atlantic Basin, way out in the Cape Verde Isles of Cape Verde. Here, there is a storm system that's given a 90% chance of becoming our next storm, which would be Bret on the list. We had Arlene, which is a tropical storm that kind of fizzled out in the Gulf of Mexico while heading toward western Cuba. That was a couple weeks ago. Now we're into middle June and heading toward the latter part of June, and we have Bret, which is going to be here probably by early as sometime tomorrow afternoon. They're going to probably name this system here Tropical Storm Bret, as it's looking very healthy. Great info and outflow way out here. Over 1,500 miles east of the Barbados and the Windward Islands out here, and this tracking westward. So by the end of this week, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, those islands up there, Anguilla, and the northern Windward Islands, they're going to be look out very closely as this system makes its approach towards that area as it continues its west-northwest track. Now, the National Hurricane Center has given this system a 90% chance of development through 48 hours, so very high. Like I said, it's going to become Bret. And this system would be the next name, Bret, Tropical Storm Bret, and consequently could become a hurricane. Basically, there's nothing to stop it. It's warm waters, not too much Saharan dust layer that I've been talking about, and not much wind shear out here this far out in the Atlantic. So the system is forecast to move westward at 15 to 20 miles an hour across the central tropical Atlantic. Further development through the middle part of the week, of course. And this is a very vigorous system, and there's also one behind it. It's only given a 20% chance of development through 7 days, and it's a low chance here. This one is slightly south of that wave, this tropical wave here. But in addition to that, there will be some upwelling as it'll be coming over the same areas as this first disturbance, and so as you can expect, the cooler waters are going to diminish some of the strength of this storm. But nevertheless, this next storm wave behind it continues to move westward around 15 miles an hour across the eastern and central tropical Atlantic, and you can see it here on the infrared satellite loop. This conglomeration right here, most of the convection appears south of east of the center, as this one, though, as you can see, our first wave that's going to become Tropical Storm Bret here, probably, like I said, tomorrow afternoon or so, or tomorrow night at the latest, is looking very healthy in all four quadrants. Thunderstorms are gathering all about the center. Deep convection, deep cold cloud tops near the center, and it has that nice outflow pattern already fanning out in all directions. So this is very healthy. And then we have another wave here, as you can see, coming off Senegal and the Gambia, that's on Senegal and the Gambia. Behind that one, a third wave. And so this looks to be a very active pattern. Now, if you look out here into the Caribbean Sea, you can see a few active showers here blossoming around Belize and Honduras, off the coast there, along the Blue Hole and all of that in the Western Caribbean Sea. But that disorganized their storms and showers, and there's some sinking flow here. You can see some wind shear coming off there. Possibly north of the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. But other than that, this system has a full rain access into thousands of miles, at least 1,000 miles of warm water, ocean temperatures above 83 Fahrenheit all the way through. And it's just going to continue to strengthen, possibly into a Cat 1, Cat 2 hurricane as it approaches Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, right there. I would not be surprised, because water temperatures, as we can see here, are already at the 80 degrees or higher. If you look at the surface analysis here, let's go toward I'm gonna go to the ocean analysis. Excuse me. I want to show you the sea surface temperatures here that we have, and you look at this band of warm water. It's already out there toward the Cape Verde Islands. Normally, we don't see this type of warm weather out here to Africa until at least early August or late August, but it's already present in middle of June, the first official month of the hurricane season, ladies and gentlemen. So you can see why we have all these warms, 28, 29 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius in some places. So these waters are already heated up, and it's kind of interesting that this is mirroring the El Nino that here. The El Nino zone is actually shrunk a little bit. The bandwidth of the El Nino out here along the ICTZ, the Intertropical Convergence Zone, you can see that the El Nino is kind of shrunk here a little bit. It's kind of cooled off. It's kind of shrunk here, but that parallels the Atlantic, if you will, quote unquote, El Nino, in the sense that the Atlantic is having warmer waters. I'm using that as a metaphor, saying the Atlantic has warmer waters that's paralleling the Pacific, the Eastern Pacific here, warming waters. Isn't that crazy? So this is a very interesting phenomenon. So this is what I say, we could have a very, very active hurricane season here, possibly more active than we previously thought, because you would think with the El Nino years we typically had in the past, we've had storms where they usually curve out the sea. Now, one fact I want to mention here too is that how strong will the Bermuda High be at this time of year? The curve these out to sea. That is something that's going to be very interesting to watch, ladies and gentlemen. The Bermuda High. If I can go, I'm gonna find the right one here. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just find the imagery here. I'm gonna go back to the imagery. I want to show you the overall Atlantic-wide view. Okay, the Bermuda High here. Okay, I put this into motion here. The Bermuda High up here. Okay, how strong is it going to be to fan these storms off the coast of the southeastern United States? That's going to be one of the big factors, the question marks, the wild cards, as this progresses up into the Middle Atlantic. Okay. And possibly the Caribbean. Now, if it turns, and obviously now another thing is going to be a big factor too is obviously the wind shear and the dry air. How much dry air is north of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Dominican Republic? Okay. That's going to be one of the factors here. We have to look at the environmental factors. We know we have a front coming off the coast here of Florida pretty soon, but there's some other environmental factors that are going to be a trough in the front, but there's going to be some other environmental factors later on during the week that everybody's going to have to look at, the models, of course, and all of that. But those two factors, the Bermuda High, how much dry air is in place north of the Leeward Islands, the Windward Islands, okay? And then also the third factor, of course, would be in terms of steering. How strong does Bret get? That's the next name. How strong does this Bret get? Is it a Cat 1 or Cat 2 when it's up in the northern Leeward Islands? Or is it a Cat 4 coming up there? Or is it just a strong tropical storm? You know, depending on the internal dynamics, if we have an eyewall replacement cycle before it reaches there, or, you know, it just stays at strong intensity, we'll have to wait and see. But those are the factors. Typically now, I would say historically speaking, storms in June that come out this far out in the Atlantic, they typically curve back around Bermuda or east of Bermuda, 100 miles east or something like that, 200 miles, and they go out to sea. That's just typically speaking, but there's no guarantee. We've had all these anomalies so far this year already, so there's no guarantee that this storm is going to curve back out to sea like most of them do, being affected by that pressure. So we just have to wait and see. It's kind of early in the game, ladies and gentlemen. We still have, 4 or 5 days, 6 days to watch this before it could possibly get threatened to any land events. So stay tuned to the Weather Guru. We'll keep you updated with the latest interpretation of this forecast. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great evening.